आपके पास वॉशिंगटन सुंदर जैसे खिलाड़ी है जो गेंदबाजी भी करेंगे आपके लिए और बल्लेबाजी भी करेंगे। हमने देखा कि वेस्ट इंडीज़ में इसकी कमी थी क्योंकि आपके पास कोई ऑलराउंडर नहीं था। तो ये भी एक बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग खिलाड़ी रहेंगे जिन पे नज़र होगी चयन करता हो कि एशिया कप की तरफ। यशस्वी जायसवाल, तिलक वर्मा नंबर 4। 2-3 ओवर सैंपल साइज छोटा था लेकिन हमने देखा उन्हें गेंदबाजी करते हुए वहाँ पे एक विकेट भी चटका है, कॉटन बॉल छोड़ा। लेकिन ऐसे काफ़ी खिलाड़ी और इतने मौके जो है ना इस श्रृंखला में खिलाड़ी को जो मिल रहे हैं उनका पूरा फायदा उठाते हुए यशस्वी जायसवाल कदमों का इस्तेमाल किया, रूम बनाया, मिड ऑफ आगे थे। आखिरी ओवर है पावर प्ले का, पूरा फायदा उठाने की कोशिश। अब तक जो लय हमने वेस्ट इंडीज में देखा सबा भाई वो देखने मिला नहीं, लेकिन इस शॉट के साथ शायद वो लय आते हुए फिर से
ये बहुत अच्छा शॉट था क्योंकि बहुत देर में बाहर निकले थे, समय दिया नहीं यहाँ पर जॉश केटल को अपने लेंथ को चेंज करने के लिए और इसीलिए कामयाबी भी मिली वहाँ पर जायसवाल को। इस बार बहुत ज़्यादा बाहर गेंद डाली और दूर से ही शॉट खेलने का प्रयास, शरीर को ले नहीं गए बॉल की तरफ। ये शॉट था ज़बरदस्त, बहुत देर में बाहर निकले और जगह बना कर निकले थे तो वो स्पेस मिला उस शॉट को खेलने के लिए यशस्वी जायसवाल को। शानदार शॉट। अंतिम गेंद पावर प्ले की। 39 है स्कोर इस समय भारत का, 140 का लक्ष्य उनके सामने और इस बार पुल किया है और ये छक्का होना चाहिए स्टैंड में 6 रन के लिए। जबरदस्त तरीके से इस पावर प्ले की समाप्ति की है यशस्वी जायसवाल ने। 6 के बाद 45 बिना किसी नुकसान के।
मेट्रो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी, छेड़छाड़ के बिना इतनी सेविंग्स तो ऊपर वाला भी नहीं करा सकता।
अपना ऊपर वाला सबकी सेविंग्स कराएगा।
5-star rated fans with BLDC technology. Attenborough. Why not?
स्किल्स और जीतने का जज्बा है फिर तो ये गेम आपका है। रमी टाइटल्स, करो जीत की शुरुआत।
इस खेल में आदत लगना या आर्थिक जोखिम संभव है, जिम्मेदारी से खेलें।
आपका जॉय,
भारत का जॉय, जॉय ई-बाइक।
टारगेट 140 का 45 हो गया है स्कोर। पिछला ओवर जो अंतिम ओवर था पावर प्ले का, वहां पर एक चौका देखने को मिला फ्रंट फुट पर जायसवाल का और उसके बाद अंतिम गेंद पर वो जबरदस्त पुल शॉट 6 रन के लिए। एक बार फिर से अपना जलवा बिखेरते हुए यशस्वी जायसवाल। अब क्रेग यंग को लगाया है यहाँ पर पॉल स्टर्लिंग ने, उनके सामने इस समय गायकवाड गिरने के बाद अच्छी गेंद डाली थी, रनआउट का चांस, नहीं पहुंच गए वहां पर। पिछले ओवर के अंतिम गेंद पर शानदार शॉट लगाया था।
थोड़ा ब्लफ किया, उधर आगे गए फिर पीछे गए, स्टंप के करीब गए थे, फिर आगे हवा में गेंद, यहाँ पर मौका बन सकता है और ये पॉल सेलिंग ने कैच पकड़ लिया है। पहला झटका इंडिया को, बड़ा शॉट मारने की कोशिश यहाँ पर जायसवाल की, थोड़ा ऊपर आया गेंद, ये हैवी बॉल कहते हैं उसको और मौका नहीं मिला हाथ खोलने का वहां पर। अच्छी गेंदबाजी और साधारण कैच, एक पहली विकेट 46 पर 1।
मेट्रो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी, छेड़छाड़ के बिना इतनी सेविंग्स तो ऊपर वाला भी नहीं करा सकता।
अपना ऊपर वाला सबकी सेविंग्स कराएगा।
5-star rated fans with BLDC technology. Attenborough. Why not?
Congratulations! आपने जीता घंटा।
घंटा?
ऐसा 3 पत्तियों वाला गेम खेलोगे तो घंटा ही जीतोगे। इसीलिए MPL विन पत्ती स्किल, यहाँ 0 पैसे से खेलो और लाखों जीतो।
इस खेल में आदत लगना या आर्थिक जोखिम संभव है, जिम्मेदारी से खेलें।
तो यंग को मिली सफलता अपने पहले ही ओवर की दूसरी गेंद पे और यशस्वी जायसवाल 24 के निजी स्कोर पे चले वापस। अब आए हैं, कह सकते हैं, इंडिया के नए नंबर 3। तिलक वर्मा, नंबर 3 पे मौका दिया गया। DLS स्कोर के हिसाब से इंडिया अभी 8 रन आगे है और बारिश हो रही है मैलाहाइट में, तो नजरें जितनी तिलक वर्मा और ऋतुराज गायकवाड़ पे हैं उतनी ही आसमान पे भी बनी हुई हैं। वो छाते दिख रहे हैं आपको बैकग्राउंड में, वो निकल आए। लेकिन बने रहिए हमारे साथ, मैच जारी है। डाउन द लेग साइड, क्या ये एज है? अंपायर की उंगली उठी। 2 गेंदों में 2 सफलताएं आयरलैंड को, और यंग ने 2 यंगस्टर्स को किया वापस ड्रेसिंग रूम में।
यही तो क्रिकेट है। बढ़िया शुरुआत हुई थी उनकी वेस्ट इंडीज में, और यहाँ पर पहले ही गेंद पे आउट हुए। गेंद भी लेग साइड पे थी, बल्ले का होना लिया और बढ़िया कैच आ विकेट कीपर का। बेहतरीन गेंदबाजी यंग की। 2 गेंदों में 2 विकेट। 0 पर वापस तिलक वर्मा।
जानिए सती के अंश से कैसे उत्पन्न हुए 51 शक्तिपीठ, जिनकी महिमा आज तक इस सृष्टि में गूंज रही है।
नारी सम्मान के लिए सती का विभक्त देह इस पृथ्वी में समा गया। आने वाले युगों तक आस्था का प्रतीक बन के पूजा जाएगा।
शिव शक्ति तप त्याग तांडव, सोमवार से रविवार रात 8 बजे।
हैट्रिक बॉल, और वो इसलिए क्योंकि यशस्वी जायसवाल को दूसरी गेंद पे आउट किया। स्टर्लिंग का कैच, यंग का विकेट, और फिर एक और यंगस्टर को चलता किया यंग ने। तिलक वर्मा, ये गेम सच अ ग्रेट लेवलर जैसे कहा जाता है। तो लग रहा था वेस्ट इंडीज में कोई गलती हो ही नहीं सकती थी। इस गेंद पे शायद फोर्ट लॉडरडेल में चौका होता, लेकिन मैलाहाइट में विकेट है। संजू सैमसन नंबर 4 पे हैट्रिक बॉल फेस करेंगे। क्रेग यंग, उम्र दराज है, अनुभव की कोई कमी नहीं। तेज बारिश, DLS का स्कोर भी अब बदलेगा इसके साथ साथ। 3 रन आगे इंडिया। चलिए, हैट्रिक तो अवॉइड कर ली। संजू सैमसन ऑफ द मार्क, लेकिन अचानक एक नई एनर्जी इस मैच में उन 2 विकेटों के साथ। किरण भाई,
ये T20 का यही कमाल है, और लगातार 2 विकेट ली यंग ने, और जायसवाल जो कि बड़ा शॉट मारने की तलाश में थे। और उसके बाद तिलक वर्मा आउट हुए, कॉट भी आए। 47 पर 3 रन से आगे इंडिया। DLS पे विकेट खोते हैं यहाँ पर तो बिल्कुल बढ़ जाएगा। और बूंदे बारिश थोड़ी तेज होने लगी अभी,
लेकिन उत्साह कमाल का है पूरी क्राउड में। से पहने वो भारतीय पोशाक हैं और भारत की जर्सीज हैं, लेकिन जैसे ही कैमरा आता है उतने खुश रहते हैं जैसे मैं किरण मोरे को देख के होता था 1992 में। जबरदस्त। 1 for the over। निगाहें देखिए जितनी अंपायर्स पे हैं उतनी कवर्स पे रेडी हैं, बिल्कुल चार्ज करने के लिए ग्राउंड पे। बारिश थोड़ा सा ट्विस्ट दे सकती है कहानी में। ओके, दैट्स इट। शायद अंपायर्स ने फैसला कर लिया है कि अब जाना ही पड़ेगा। बारिश जैसा किरण भाई कह रहे थे बहुत तेज हो गई है, अम्ब्रेलाज आर आउट। अंपायर्स ने कहा चलिए लेट्स गो बैक।
बढ़िया, यहाँ पे बारिश अच्छी न्यूज़ नहीं है। और यहाँ पे 3 रन से थोड़ी आगे भारत, यहाँ पर कवर्स आ गए फील्ड पर, और शुरुआत अच्छी हुई थी बस 2 झटके में, और 2 बड़े झटके थे। वो जैसे जायसवाल आउट हुए, तिलक वर्मा उसके साथ लगातार आउट हुए। 2 रन आगे इंडिया यहाँ पर। बारिश काफ़ी तेज़ लग रही है यहाँ पर। आयरलैंड में बारिश जल्दी रुकती नहीं है, रुक जाएगी तो मज़ा आ जाएगा। और बढ़िया शुरुआत की थी इंडिया ने, पर आज गेंदबाजी बहुत, आज जसप्रीत बुमराह ने जो की वो बेहतरीन थी आज, उनको देखने बहुत मज़ा आया। पर ऋतुराज गायकवाड़ बढ़िया पारी खेल रहे थे यहाँ पर। और ये जो मेहनत करनी पड़ती है ग्राउंड्स पे, ग्राउंड स्टाफ की, इतना आसान नहीं होता है। यहाँ पे थोड़े से ब्रेक लगे हुए हैं मैच में। जो बारिश आयरलैंड में बहुत फेमस है, हमेशा बारिश गिरती है यहाँ पे बारिश जल्दी रुकती नहीं है। बिल्कुल 2 रन से आगे है इंडिया। जो 5 शुरू नहीं होगी तो 2 रन से डीएलएस से आगे रहेगी इंडिया। तो शुरुआत अच्छी थी, गेंदबाजी बढ़िया हुई इंडिया की आज, क्योंकि हमारे 2 गेंदबाज थे जसप्रीत बुमराह और प्रसिद्ध, उनको देखने मिला आज। दोनों ने विकेट चटकाई, अच्छी बेहतरीन गेंदबाजी की उन्होंने। यहाँ पे खेल में रुकावट है। ये जो हमारी समरिए मैच की जायसवाल अच्छी शुरुआत की थी, 24 रन बनाए 23 गेंदों में। गायकवाड़ 19 पर नाबाद है। तिलक वर्मा आज उन्होंने खाता नहीं खोला। संजू सैमसन ने 1 और यंग ने 2 विकेट चटकाए। जो बॉलिंग कार्ड है हमारा, मार्केडर 1 ओवर डाला 10 रन दिए। लिटिल 3 ओवर डाले 20 रन दिए। मकार्टी ने 2 ओवर में 14 रन दिए। पर यंग ने जो ब्रेक लगाई 5 गेंदों में 2 विकेट चटकाए। तो पहले इनिंग में जो टॉस जीत के बॉलिंग करने का निर्णय लिया था, तो पहले 4 विकेट बहुत जल्दी ले लिए थे। उसके बाद एक अच्छी बारी खेली मकार्टी ने 51 रन की, और कैंपर ने 39 बनाए थे। और यहाँ पे आज बुमराह ने 2 विकेट चटकाए, बस कृष्णा ने 2, बिश्नोई ने 2 और अर्शदीप ने 1 विकेट चटकाया। तो ये बढ़िया शुरुआत थी आज, जो देखने जो हम वेट कर रहे थे सब लोग, जो जसप्रीत बुमराह की गेंदबाजी। तो ये जो मैनहट्टन तक आखिरी ओवर में जबरदस्त रन बनाए, 23 रन बनाए और 139 पे 7 विकेट पे 20 ओवर खत्म हुए थे यहाँ पर। जो बॉलिंग कार्ड है, जसप्रीत बुमराह आज 2 विकेट निकाले और प्रसिद्ध कृष्णा ने 2 विकेट निकाले। बहुत ही बेहतरीन गेंदबाजी की थी दोनों ने। बढ़िया शुरुआत, पहले ओवर में बुमराह ने 2 विकेट निकाले, उसके बाद प्रसिद्ध कृष्णा गेंदबाजी करने आए थे, 2 विकेट उन्होंने विकेट निकाले। और अभी ब्रेक पे चलते हैं बैट सेंटर लाइव।
It had to happen if it was Ireland. If there was an 80% chance of rain, it had to happen sometime, and it has happened. 6.5 overs bowled by Ireland, 47 runs on the board for India, but they've lost 2 crucial wickets, that of Yashasvi Jaiswal and Tilak Verma on back-to-back deliveries. As a result of which, suddenly there is a cat amongst the pigeons as I welcome Abhishek Nair on this Match Centre Live special coverage since the rain is on. Abhishek, obviously disappointing scenes for all those who've come to watch cricket in Ireland, watch India, of course. But overall, your assessment of the situation so far. India are 2 runs ahead on the DLS pass score.
Well, they are ahead. I think the rain's obviously coming at the wrong time. We felt that there was this change with the rain coming in, Duckworth Lewis. You know, as a batsman, you always want to know what's going to happen. Yeah. And often when it starts raining, and then the messages coming out, they're trying to tell you that, you know, try and stay above par, try and stay at par. I think it just changes with your mindset, and it just changes with your mindset. So I feel at that point, unlucky Tilak Verma. You know, you didn't expect him to get out that way, but I still feel that we are ahead in terms of, you know, chasing a score. Yes, the conditions are conducive to fast bowling, but I still believe in a next gen to go out and win this for India.
I like the plug of next gen over there. Unfortunate really for the next gen, particularly Yashasvi Jaiswal and Tilak Verma. After all the good work was done in the power play, there was a little bit of movement on offer. There was something in it for the bowlers, as we talked about even in the pre-match build-up to this T20 international. It was there, but they held strong despite a few miscommunication, communication errors, shall we call them.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Yashasvi and Ruturaj play for different teams. Yeah. And often they try to run each other out in the IPL. but today together, I think, you know, just looking at the opening partnership, they got what we wanted. Obviously, you want to get 40, around 40 in these conditions. felt like they were comfortable, felt like they had, Ruturaj felt a lot more comfortable than Yashasvi. You could see Yashasvi struggled a bit. I think they bowled pretty well to him, didn't give him too much room, didn't let him open his arms, made it slightly difficult for him. He was tactical in how he approached it, but I still believe, the way he was going about his innings, just felt that every time he had to score runs, he had to take a very high-risk option. In comparison to Ruturaj, who looked a lot more comfortable, got a bit of room to keep playing. But I felt the island bowlers did target Yashasvi Jaiswal well, and I think that's something you have to think about.
Having said that, the way he took on Josh Little in that over in particular just gave India the impetus, and as a result of which they find themselves 2 runs ahead on the DLS pass score despite the fall of those 2 wickets.
Yeah, like I said, once it started raining, you saw that, the urgency increased. You could tell that Yashasvi was trying to go after the bowling. I think till then, when he got hit on his wrist, post that it took a bit of time. Obviously, as a batsman, when you get hit, you start assessing and questioning yourself in terms of the conditions. But I still believe at that point of time when Yashasvi got out, the shot was on. Because you want him to take on from where he left off. He's spoken so much about his intensity and how he's gone with great intent through his innings. So I don't mind this. He used his feet, tried to do something different. He tried to be the aggressor in this innings. But I believe and I understand from watching him there is that he wasn't at his best. But he still gave India the start that they required.
You give the credit to the bowler here, or just a stroke that he'd like to forget? If you live by the sword, you die by it quite often.
I think credit to the bowlers. I just felt they bowled really well to him. They cramped him, like I said, with room. They tried to get the ball in. I think initially in the first 2 overs, he got to free his arms. After that, I felt Ireland was smart. You could see Josh Little following him as well. Yashasvi he was tactical, went deep in the crease, used his feet. So he did think about it. Even that shot, he was tactical because he stepped out, he gave himself room, but they followed him.
Yeah.
So credit to the bowler, credit where it's due. But I felt Yashasvi still got India into a position, even though it wasn't his fluentest inning, I think he got India into a position wherein he's sitting happy even now.
अब बताइए क्रिकेट में क्या चांस है कि यंग नाम का बॉलर 2 यंगस्टर्स को 2 लगातार गेंदों में आउट कर दें. That's exactly how it unfolded. Yashasvi Jaiswal getting out of the second delivery of Craig Young's over, and then in the very next delivery, Tilak Verma becomes. I mean, I'm just thinking in Fort Lauderdale or possibly Guyana, this was a 4 because that's the kind of form he was in. He gets the first ball down the leg side straight into the hands of the keeper, Tucker.
Well, they tell you no matter how good a cricketer you are, you want the rub of the green. And I think यहाँ पे तिलक वर्मा निराश जरूर होंगे, बट ज़्यादा कर नहीं सकते. हम लोग कहते हैं ना ये अनलकी डिसमिसल है. आप चाहते हो, आप जैसे आपने कहा you want that for 4. आप सोचते हो कि लग गया चौका. If you're sitting in as a coach and I'm thinking ये तो चौका है. You get out to that, you go back and think, what can you do different? Nothing. Same shot खेलेंगे, कोशिश करेंगे कि थोड़ा सा हल्का सा ज़्यादा बल्ले को लग के वो चौका मिल सकता है. But I think it is what it is, just an unlucky dismissal.
Just before I give them an update about what's happening and the bowling as well, were you surprised to see Tilak at 3 and not Sanju Samson?
I think I'm always surprised with
or because it was a left-hander's wicket that fell?
No, I think I am surprised with a lot of the decisions that are made because, for me, when you've seen Tilak Verma do well at number 4 and Sanju Samson is someone who's batting number 3, it shouldn't matter whether it's right-handed or left-handed.
Okay.
You've got 5 left-handers in the team. You've got a left-hand spin in the opposition. Paul Sterling bowls the ball off spin. That doesn't matter on this pitch because the ball isn't turning. I mean, let him bat at 4. He's doing well. Don't tinker with the batting order. Let him continue batting at 4.
Okay, fair enough. 6.5 overs golden, as you can possibly see that on your screens as well if you're watching on JioCinema or Sports 18. Hopefully you're enjoying our regional commentary as well across languages. Quick reminder, India's on 47 for the loss of 2 wickets at the moment. The DLS pass score as it stands is 45, and that's primarily because of the 2 wickets that have fallen. Yep, the umbrellas are out, the sad faces, they paint a picture, they write a story of them, of their own, but at the same time, you're just hoping that because it's Ireland, because the wind blows over, Malahide will suddenly see a gust of wind and blow the clouds away, and there's some action very soon. 47 for 2 is where India find themselves at the moment. Just let's get back to the bowling and the way India started in particular. Obviously, Jasprit Bumrah making a comeback after, 327 days away from international cricket. Just how impressed were you overall with his performance?
Very impressed. I think, just from the way he started, yes, he got 2 wickets. But I just felt the way the ball was coming out of his hand and that seam position. When you look at Jasprit Bumrah's seam position tilting towards fine leg, you know the ball's released well. And when you know that a bowler's in great rhythm. Just over the four overs that we saw him bowl, you saw him use all his stock deliveries. You saw him bowl those hard lengths, get the ball back in. You saw him use the bouncer. You saw him use the slow one, the Yorker, like I said before. So it was impressive. I was also particularly impressed by the captaincy and how he used himself. Because he bowled 2 up front, He bowled one around the 15th over and then bowled one in the 19th. So he's preparing like he would when you're playing a top team, in an international competition. But I think overall, seeing the rhythm, seeing him clock 140, like I said before, in the last over, just tells me that you're seeing the same old Jasprit Bumrah in time to come.
You mean he's simulating a match situation in an actual match?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's have a look at the 12 deliveries that he bowled in the power play and let's see what he had to offer. I mean, we were obviously wondering what the intensity will be like, what the consistency factor will look like. Coming back after an injury like that is not easy, especially if the comebacks haven't quite gone to plan earlier on as well last year.
No, I think, which is why I said it's interesting and it's good from the Indian management point of view, where you sent him to a tour of Ireland, where the conditions will be conducive to pace bowling.
Yeah.
He may not necessarily have to put in the effort he may have to put in conditions like India. So you're building him up. You're giving him the perfect platform to come and then to make those mistakes and then still be okay on the body and not go too hard, too fast. And I think that is the key for a fast bowler and someone like Bumrah who is an asset, a very important asset for you in terms of the World Cup, which is almost a month and a half to away. And you're looking at Jasprit Bumrah and saying, okay, Ireland, he goes there, has the time, wins the toss, bowls first, overcast conditions. So he doesn't need to come and start clocking 140, takes the new cherry and says, I'm going to come and bowl the first over. So I think all in all, great news for Bumrah, great news for Indian fans, Rohit Sharma and the selection.
What about the run-up? There was some chat about it in the build-up to this game as well. Even on commentary, we were discussing it. And what did you assess? What was your assessment of the run-up? Has it gone longer according to you? Is he putting a little more effort in his delivery?
Well, I'm not sure about how long it is, but I could definitely tell you that the rhythm in his run-up was a lot better because he was running a lot faster than he normally did. For a fast bowler, he's very different, where he walks in and then creates momentum into his run-up. But I felt just in terms of the momentum that he gathered into the run-up and just in terms of his finish and then his follow-through, just tells you that there's a lot more momentum and there is something that he's done with the run. I'm not sure about the length. Kiran sir can talk about it, but for sure, the one thing that I see is the fact that he is generating all the momentum towards the target, which tells you he's prepared well, he's bold enough, and he's in great rhythm.
I'll tell you what, Kiran sir is in great rhythm as well. He's just walked into the studio. He's going to explain exactly that in his own words. Come on, Kiran.
बिल्कुल देखो उनका जो रिदम था बहुत बढ़िया था और जब बॉलर भागता है ना पता चल जाता है एज ए विकेट कीपर आई नो सम बॉलर इज रनिंग दैट मींस bowling in good rhythm and that you can see that in Bumrah's line and length as well. So when you can run well but if you bowl good line and length is very important and you can see that one ball he bowled he didn't get wicket bat in swinging Yorker, that is just good Bumrah. So that ball was best ball of the actually so far the entire that.
Okay, hand on your heart, Kiran sir. Did you at any point while he was bowling think that this man is just coming back from a very serious back injury, in fact a back surgery?
No, I think it's not easy to come back, from back injury. And then he is well prepared. He knows his body very well. And his work ethics are outstanding. I've watched him closely. I've been always standing behind the nets, watching him, what is he doing. So his preparation is outstanding. I've seen him, most of the time he'll bowl in the nets for 45 minutes. Then he'll come on the side to bowl for 35 to 40 minutes. One stump, Yorkers, slow bouncer, slow Yorkers as well, and the bouncers as well. So I think that's what the work ethics brings you what he is today. And when we look at it, we're talking about the action also. So I thought he's increased a couple of steps, and he's getting to get his rhythm going. Earlier he was too close to the stumps when he's coming. And there were only few steps he was taking and putting a lot of pressure on his back. On the body. And that's what I feel that rhythm, that what you wanted. That's what he's doing. That's what I feel, Otherwise, lately watching the matches I saw for India, he was bowling a too short run-up, So that is not going to help him for long term. He's not getting young. He's getting older. So you need to change a little bit of it. And that's what the cricket brings it. You have to keep on improving your the talent, the ideas you have, and especially when the fast bowler especially. And when you get more older, you need to look for more rhythm, like Jimmy Anderson is doing for England. He's been playing at 40, he's at 40, he's still bowling, he's bowling the best. And Jasprit Bumrah can do that. And Jasprit Bumrah, when you talk about the action, it's not a bad action. You look at upright, straight up, and he finishes very well. So he's going to play a lot of cricket in the future also.
That's true. I mean, I'm just wondering for somebody, I don't know if there's anybody who exists like that, but जिसने सितंबर 2022 के बाद ऑस्ट्रेलिया के खिलाफ तीसरे T20 इंटरनेशनल के बाद क्रिकेट नहीं देखा है, वो अचानक अभी जसप्रीत बुमराह को देख रहा है. Is he going to think there's any difference in the intensity and the way he's approaching this, as far as his bowling is concerned?
See, I know him. He wants to give 100% and he's going to go all out. As a fast bowler, आप कोई आके धीरे से गेंदबाजी करोगे, Jasprit Bumrah won't be that successful.
That's right.
He has to bowl that same rhythm. He has to bowl quick. Then will be more successful. Definitely, their experience will definitely help him. But वही स्पीड से डालेंगे. गति थोड़ी सी कम होगी, उनकी जो लेंथ है, उनका जो स्विंग है, और स्लोअर में कुछ नए लेके आएंगे चीज़ें हरकतें. पर बिल्कुल फिटनेस रहना और फिट रहना फास्ट बॉलर के लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. सबसे डिफिकल्ट काम है क्रिकेट में है फास्ट बॉलर. आई थिंक उनको बहुत मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी. डिसिप्लिन तो है, उनके वर्क एथिक बहुत बढ़िया है, तो ये खेलते रहेंगे क्रिकेट.
किरण सर को लगेगा सारे सवाल मेरे लिए तैयार रखे हैं इसने. अब आपका हमने इंतजार किया इतनी देर आने के लिए क्योंकि यू वर बिजी विद कमेंट्री दैट टाइम एंड यू वर जस्ट रैपिंग अप प्रोसीडिंग्स इन द कमेंट्री बॉक्स. बट अनदर क्विक क्वेश्चन फॉर यू. इज द 11th skipper for India in T20 international. He's the first bowler to actually captain India in this format. Overall, what was your assessment of his captaincy? Because Abhishek has had his say on that.
देखो, मैं तो मानता हूँ कि फास्ट बॉलर कप्तान बहुत बढ़िया होता है और उनको देनी चाहिए कप्तान. और ये बढ़िया है, थिंकर है, अच्छा सोचते हैं, अच्छा क्रिकेट की बातें बहुत अच्छी करते हैं. और देखो इंसान पे बहुत उनका जो जुनूनी होता है वो अंदर से आता है इनसे. तो मुझे लगता है एक फ्यूचर के कैप्टन बन सकते हैं टेस्ट क्रिकेट में भी और ऑल फॉर्मेट में आ सकते हैं और उनमें है क्षमता तो है, मैं मानता हूँ.
Do you see that as well? Do you see him as the right successor to Rohit Sharma in this format and of course in the longer format of the game?
Well, I think it all depends on his fitness. I feel for a fast bowler to bowl, we saw that with Pat Cummins in the Ashes. I think for you to bowl, play all formats and then to come and lead, I think it can sometimes be taxing, which is why we often see batsmen taking over the mantle and like they say, batting is an easier job, where it's physically not very taxing.
You don't always agree though.
I mean, yeah, I mean two sides of the debate, but I think for me, Jasprit Bumrah, the bowler, is far more important to India than Jasprit Bumrah, the captain, because you having him in your side and then using him well, where he doesn't have to worry about using himself. Because I think the one thing I realized when he played the WTC, or he bowled very long spells, because in the WTC final that he led.
In the Birmingham test.
Yeah, in the Birmingham test.
Yeah.
I think in that, the amount of overs that he bowled was, I think, the inception of his back going for a toss. Because I feel as a batsman, as a bowler, you constantly want to win games, so you tend to push yourself that 1 extra over, 2 extra overs, and you can't have Jasprit Bumrah get injured in the process of doing that. So I feel Jasprit Bumrah for T20s makes sense. For the longer formats as a captain, makes sense.
Put a cotton wool around him.
But let's just save him and keep him for the important tournaments and make sure we don't overuse him and overburden him and let him just enjoy his cricket like he keeps saying, I want to enjoy. Let him enjoy, because captaincy doesn't let you enjoy.
Okay, no more captaincy talk on Jasprit Bumrah now. Okay, we'll move on from there. He had a great DRS moment as well. When Ravi Bishnoi was bowling to Mark Adair, there was a moment where Ravi Bishnoi was absolutely convinced that this is out. And I'll get to his bowling in just a moment. But how about this decision review from Jasprit Bumrah, the skipper?
I think it was brilliant actually. And then
the one after this is the Paul Sterling. This is Mark Adair.
But यहाँ पे he was very sure about it. But I was not sure about it. When you look at Sanju Samson's position, वो down the leg चले गए थे. बिल्कुल यहाँ पे DRS ने कमाल किया है, बिल्कुल stump पे लगी. पर वहाँ पे जो reaction था ना जसप्रीत बुमराह का, बहुत बढ़िया था. जैसे विकेट लिया, उन्होंने विकेट लिया, ऐसा reaction था. वो बहुत खुश थे. I think पहला DRS था उनका और successful था.
Yeah, that's what I said. We'll have to look at the numbers and see whether he took a DRS in Birmingham in that test match that he was leading India in. But I mean, all's well that ends well. I mean, Bishnoi did a good job of selling it to Jasprit, and Jasprit eventually leaving it to the TV umpire for the decision.
Well, captain trusts his bowler. That's more important. As long as the bowler doesn't keep asking for the wrong ones, like Mohammad Siraj does, because then they stop listening to you. But I think just in terms of Bishnoi and how he went about his bowling in this game, I felt very mature. Stuck to his strengths. We all know he bowls a terrific googly. He stuck to that, didn't try to do anything different, used the crease well. So I think he's a mature bowler, even though he's someone who's not played India for a long time, or he's not played a lot for India. I think he's someone who's played a lot of domestic cricket. He's played a lot of IPL now. He's someone, even for LSG, bowls in very tough situations, bowls the power plays, also bowled in the death a couple of times this season in the last 5. So I think all in all, he's a seasoned player in many regards in terms of his experience in bowling, and we got to see that today because he bowled really smartly and used the crease very efficiently.
What about the debutant Prasidh Krishna? Jasprit Bumrah getting 2 wickets in his very first over. Prasidh Krishna getting 2 wickets.
I'm very, very happy for him. Actually. And what I'm seeing him on the field, bowling, and he's one of my favorite bowler, because after Jasprit Bumrah, Mohammad Shami, Shiraz, I think this is the guy who can make it into all format of the game. And he has got immense talent, and India needs more fast bowlers. That's why there's a lot of pressure on Jasprit Bumrah, Mohammad Shami, Shiraz. They all are playing. So if you have more pool of fast bowlers like Rashid and everybody like Mukesh Kumar has come in. So if you have bada pool होगा, हमारे ये players को हम लोग रेस्ट दे सकते हैं, and we can win all format of the games. Because fast bowlers, if you have good fast bowlers in international cricket, you can win matches and you can win the tournaments as well.
It's a great point you make being about all format bowler because प्रसिद्ध कृष्णा ने अपना डेब्यू ODIs में किया था मार्च 2021 में इंग्लैंड के खिलाफ पहली बार इंडिया के लिए खेले थे वो ODIs में उसके बाद ODIs में कंसिस्टेंटली उन्हें देखा गया 25 विकेट भी हैं उनके वनडे इंटरनेशनल्स में ज़रूरी बात यह अभिषेक दैट this is a guy who was looked at as a middle overs bowler in the ODI setup. Now he's been given a run in the T20 internationals with obviously an eye on the longer format. Do you think he can use this as a platform to get himself into the Asia Cup and potentially the World Cup squads?
देखिए हमेशा से अगर प्रसिद्ध कृष्णा की ग्राफ देखेंगे तो आपके पास ऐसे गेंदबाज हैं नहीं यू नो bowlers who can play all three formats and I feel the selectors the management have always identified him as someone who can do that because even when he plays Ranji Trophy खेलना पसंद करते हैं वो इन्जॉय करते हैं लाल बॉल से गेंदबाजी करना वनडे तो हमने देखा उन्होंने किस तरह से गेंदबाजी की है T20 में हम जानते हैं IPL में लेकिन वो पसंद करते हैं तीनों फॉर्मेट सो ही इज़ अ बॉलर हु वांट्स टू प्ले ऑल थ्री फॉर्मेट्स ऐसा नहीं कि वो चाहते कि यार मैं सिर्फ वनडे खेलूँ या T20 खेलूँ क्या वो वर्कलोड मैनेज हो सकता है और मेरे लिए फास्ट बॉलर इंडियन फास्ट बॉलर के लिए हमेशा एक ही सवाल है कि क्या वो वर्कलोड मैनेजमेंट हो सकता है बिकॉज आर फास्ट बॉलर्स प्ले द IPL when you play the Tata IPL and you're playing 14 games and could be +2 +3 उसका मतलब आपको ऑफ सीजन मिलने में जो बाकी प्लेयर्स को शायद मिलते हैं बाकी देश के तेज गेंदबाजों को मिलता है एक जिम्मी एंडरसन को वो ऑफ सीजन मिलता है सो कहीं ना कहीं आई फील दैट प्रसिद्ध कृष्णा जसप्रीत बुमराह your three format players have to be looked after to a level where yes he can play all formats but when are you going to use him in which tournaments are you going to use him and how smartly you're going to use him and that for me is the key.
That was certainly a good debut for Prasidh Krishna picking up a couple of wickets and this is what he had to say after the first one.
Well, I've got a very special guest, Prasidh Krishna, T20 debut. How did you feel this morning when you found out you were going to play?
I mean, I've been along with this group for quite a long time now. Didn't really feel much like a debut, but then enjoyed coming out here. The wind was blowing. It was nice and cold out there. Tough for the bowlers to get warmed up and get into the rhythm straight away. But it was good. Had a lot of fun out there.
Tell us a little about your journey because you've had a lot of injury issues. How difficult is it physically, but more importantly mentally, to keep yourself going for this time?
Of course, yeah. I mean, it was a little difficult, I would say. But then the people around me, the support staff back home, the family, friends, all of them really helped me stay intact with the things going around, and it was a happy journey back to cricket, to be honest.
2 for 32. How did you feel you bowled on that surface?
Could have bowled better, definitely could have finished off a little better, but then as a team we had set out a plan to do a few things. I think we were there, most part of it we were there, and then we just like I said, we could have finished a little better. For me personally, it's great to be running in, bowling out there for the country.
Great to see you, well done, congratulations on your debut today.
A very humble guy, Prasidh Krishna, obviously not letting himself get ahead of himself, obviously knowing very well the job at hand. He said he wasn't very happy with himself, but I'm sure he'll be pretty pleased with the fact that he's just come back from a long injury. Let's talk about the other debutant in Rinku Singh. Kiran, sir, do you want to have a say on Rinku Singh? I don't know if he'll get an opportunity, but if he does get an opportunity, how big a stage is this for him after his exploits in the Tata IPL?
मैं तो इसका वेट कर रहा था कि रिंकू कब मौका मिले और हमारे जो नंबर है ना जो क्रम के जो 6 नंबर है 5 नंबर है उस क्रम पे ये बल्लेबाजी बहुत बढ़िया करेंगे जैसे अभिषेक ने बताया उनको अच्छा रन देना पड़ेगा क्योंकि ये अच्छे फिनिशर बन सकते हैं हमने युवराज सिंह को देखा है धोनी को देखा है उसके बाद हमको प्लेयर नहीं मिले हम बनाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं पर बन नहीं रहे तिलक वर्मा है वो भी खेल सकता है 6 नंबर 5 नंबर बैटिंग कर सकते हैं तो ये दोनों तीनों प्लेयर के आपको दाव लगाने पड़ेगा और रिंकू सिंह एक आउटस्टैंडिंग फील्डर है उन्होंने आपके 15-20 रन बचाते हैं फील्ड में अच्छे बढ़िया कैचेस लेते हैं और उनकी बल्लेबाजी में उनको देखता हूँ डोमेस्टिक क्रिकेट में काफ़ी तो जो बदलाव आया है काफ़ी तो मैं देखता हूँ बहुत ही बड़ा बदलाव आया है इनिशियली शॉर्ट बॉल को थोड़े आउट हो जाते थे पर अभी जो उन्होंने शॉर्ट बॉल पे जो काम करके आए तो आई थिंक बहुत बेहतरीन करके आए और एक इंडिया के लिए अच्छी न्यूज़ है कि ये प्लेयर है हमको मिल सकता है 6 नंबर में बल्लेबाजी करने
Is India looking for a number 6? I mean, now that they've tinkered with the batting order a little bit, put Tilak at 3, put Samson at 4, likely that Shivam Dube would probably come out at number 5. You see him at 6 and you see him as the contender for that spot.
Well, I think he is. You know, with Hardik Pandya now transforming into a proper bat, who bats up the order, and when he comes back and is leading the side, you know, you want someone who's going to play that role. You know, we saw that in the West Indies as well, wherein you didn't really have someone who could come in and play shots from get-go. You know, you had Akshar Patel who tried to play that role, but I feel Rinku Singh is tailor-made. If you look at his numbers and you look at his stats around all three formats in domestic cricket, he's been someone who's been a prolific run getter. You know, I think IPL being, you know, that last stage where he had to kind of prove and perform, which he's done as well. But I also believe, and I've said that before, and Kiran sir said as well, as a number 6 bat in a T20 format, you need to give someone enough time to acclimatize and understand his role. You know, although we expect them to come out and keep hitting, it's not about those 5-6 innings of being consistent. It's about playing those 1 or 2 really impactful innings, because that is what you expect from a finisher. And for Rinku, I think he's got all the makings of being that player. I think it's just about grooming him and constantly giving him those opportunities, like you have to a Ruturaj Gaikwad, to a Sanju Samson, to a Tilak Verma, to a Mukesh Kumar. I feel you need to give those opportunities to Rinku Singh as well, because you don't have a number 6 finisher only wanting to do that job. I think the last person who was tagged as a finisher was Dinesh Karthik. You know, so post him, there's been no one who's played that role. Hardik Pandya did that terrifically well, but now he's evolved into a player who can go slightly up the order, take his time, and then be devastating. So, you know, that is why I feel the outlook towards Rinku Singh has to be, you know, streamlined and said that this is who we're looking to groom, like you are now looking at Tilak Verma as number 3, number 4. You look at Rinku Singh and say number 6. If you want someone to come and do it, he's our guy, because he can save runs in the field. He's terrific with the bat, and he's unbelievable in the dressing room. As I promise you, barring what he does outside, the vibe he has in the dressing room and the positivity he creates is something that you don't really understand and know. But if you're in the dugout and if you're in the dressing room, having Rinku Singh means there's always a laugh around and there's always happiness. So I feel he's someone that the Indian team should invest in, the selectors should invest in, and should be patient with.
I mean, that's amazing insight, given the fact that he's had very humble beginnings. But most people would probably remember him for his 5 sixes against the Gujarat Titans in the Tata IPL. But there's so much more to Rinku Singh about his story. This is the story of the rise and rise of Rinku.
काफ़ी अच्छी फीलिंग है सर, क्योंकि इसी के लिए